ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome, everyone. I'm David Nelson. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. And in the tradition of Steve, since he's gone, today it's Friday and no jacket. I'm following in Steve's footsteps. We've got a great show lined up for you. Coming up shortly, we're going to have Kimberly Strassel of the Wall Street Journal. There's new information on the IRS scandal. You're going to hear it here. We're going to share that with you a little later. Actually, in this hour, we're going to have it. Matt Kibbe, president of FreedomWorks, will be here. They are launching a massive effort to defund Obamacare. You've been hearing a lot about this in the press recently. We've been talking about it on this show for, 2 years? I've certainly been talking about it for 2 years. Later on in the show, should humans be monogamous? That's the big question I have for sexologist Pepper Schwartz. She's a sociology professor and has been studying sexuality extensively. We'll talk to her everything about sex. And the big get for today is actress Shirley Jones. You know her as the mom of the Partridge Family, but she's a Hollywood star. She's out with a fantastic, sexy new memoir, autobiography, and she dishes all kinds of dirt in it. You, of course, know her marriage to Jack Cassidy, but you don't know about all the affairs. You don't know all about Jack. We're going to find out all about this with her. And get this, she's 80 years old. And you want to know what keeps her young? Well, you're going to find out. It's masturbation. We'll be talking to Shirley later on in the program about that. But before any of this, there's some breaking news, and I've got to go right to the top of it. The Fort Hood shooter, Major Nidal Hasan, he's released 7 pages, both typed and handwritten, to Fox News, and he renounces his U.S. citizenship and also abandons his military oath. And why is that important? Well, that's important because all during this episode, the Defense Department has attempted to deal with this as workplace violence. That may not make sense anymore, and I'd like to get to the bottom of this. So I brought in, and I've asked him to join us, and he's here with us on the phone, New York State Senator Lee Zeldin. He's a former U.S. Army intelligence officer and federal prosecutor. Lee, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Lee, this seems to be a game changer. Walk me through it.
Well, this has been a fascinating case to watch. Major Hasan, it wasn't that long ago that he elected to become his own counsel. He is someone who mentally was competent enough to stand trial, but certainly without the expertise to be his own defense, his own counsel. And leading to the situation, when this trial starts, he's going to be cross-examining all of those witnesses, firsthand victims of those from that day, and they're going to be facing that traumatizing experience of being cross-examined by the person who shot them and their peers. So, fast forward to now. This is just this is a new development of this fascinating case where, the protections that have been afforded Major Hasan as a U.S. citizen, as a commissioned officer who's taken an oath. Now we get a further development, and there's a fear, I think, of mine and probably others, that this can derail a case that is on pace for a trial to start, hopefully for a conviction to be obtained, and hopefully the ultimate the capital punishment is waiting for him as a sentence. So I actually hope that the theories of the prosecutors and the current court martial that Major Hasan is facing, I hope that nothing changes.
Okay.
Because I want this guy convicted, I want him sentenced, and I don't want any type of a crazy letter sent to Fox News just before the start of the trial to derail it.
Now, couldn't, from what I understand from a legal aspect, and you're a former federal prosecutor, so help me out to understand this, could the president accept, and perhaps a decree, could he accept that he renounces his citizenship and change all this? And in fact, because one of the horrific parts of this whole case that's really disturbed a lot of people reading it and watching it over the last period of time is the fact that there were the fallen victims, soldiers, denied Purple Hearts, denied benefits to their families. Could that change any of this?
Well, I'm of the belief that anyone who wants to renounce their U.S. citizenship should be afforded that. Anyone who does not want to be a U.S. citizen should not be a U.S. citizen. Anyone who does not want to be an officer in the United States Army should not be given the privilege of serving as an officer or enlisted in the United States military. So I believe that he and anyone else who wants to renounce their U.S. citizenship should be given every opportunity to do it. What I wouldn't want to have happen is for this trial, which is on pace to go forward, and I'm quite confident with the evidence that's out there, the fact that there's obviously no doubt that he did it, that this man is going to be convicted, and he's going to receive a very severe sentence. So I really hope that.
Are we talking about the death penalty here?
I sure hope so.
Okay.
Sure hope so. It's I personally I'm a supporter of it, and what better case can you use as an example than someone like this who's has caused great harm to our brave men and women in uniform.
One of the most outrageous aspects of this case is the fact that U.S. taxpayers are paying this guy's salary, and the figure I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, I heard $300,000 so far since this tragic event. There
are. Yes, it's accurate. He's continuing to get paid, and I'm hoping that the extent of this, that we're reaching the end. I really hope that we're getting to this point right now that this man, who's probably getting paid as a major in the United States Army, if he does not want to be a major in the United States Army, maybe we can save some money there with your specific question.
I believe printed on some of the documents is the symbolism SOA, which I believe stands for Soldier of Allah. It seems there's deep hatred in this man's heart, and I hope this comes out the way you expect.
Well, yeah, and we really don't want anyone in the United States military who is going to be using the acronym SOA to identify themselves, their philosophy, their spirit of service. That is not the type of person that we want defending our freedoms and liberties in uniform.
All right, Lee, thank you so much for being with us. It's tragic, and we appreciate the insight.
Yeah, thank you.
That was, of course, Lee Zeldin. He's a former U.S. Army intelligence officer and federal prosecutor. He's also a New York State senator. It's obviously a tragic series of events, and this is a blockbusting news that really hit the wires late last night. I heard it. He apparently sent a letter and a series of documents to Fox News. He renounces his citizenship, and I agree with Lee. Let him renounce his citizenship. Let's stop paying this guy, and let's give the Purple Hearts to the people, the victims that obviously deserve that. I can't imagine why we wouldn't do that. All right, coming up next, we have Kimberly Strassel, columnist for the Wall Street Journal. You're listening to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show?
Everywhere.
From your smartphone to satellite radio
To Newsmax Live TV.
to Roku.
We have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Members of this committee have accused me of providing false information when I responded to questions about the IRS processing of applications for tax exemption. I have not done anything wrong. And while I would very much like to answer the committee's questions today, I've been advised by my counsel to assert my constitutional right not to testify or answer questions related to the subject matter of this hearing.
That was, of course, Lois Lerner from the IRS taking the Fifth Amendment when testifying before Congress. This has a lot of tentacles. This obviously spreading. The story is spreading. We've been following this story for a number of weeks right now. There's a fabulous op-ed in today's Journal, and I've asked the author of that, Kimberly Strassel, to join us. She's a columnist for the Wall Street Journal's Potomac Watch, and she's with us by phone. Kimberly, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Kimberly, as I said, it's a fabulous op-ed, and it seems in the past that this whole issue, is there a link between the shenanigans at the IRS and the White House? What have you uncovered so far?
Well, here's what we found out this week. There were emails released from the House Ways and Means Committee that now show that FEC investigators, or those are attorneys from the Federal Election Commission, were in touch with Lois Lerner, asking her information also about conservative organizations operating in elections. Now, why does this matter? On the first place, it turns out that these FEC attorneys were conducting this investigation without the express approval of the commissioners at the FEC. That's one thing. Secondly, we know the IRS is not supposed to turn over confidential tax information to anyone, including the FEC. We don't know yet what the IRS did turn over to the FEC, but already there are some red flags here. Where it gets more interesting is that the group that the FEC was asking about was a conservative organization called American Issues Project. This happened to be a group that the complaint against which to the FEC was filed by the Obama campaign back in 2008. And that does put a more interesting twist on it, because what you end up having here is a complaint filed by the Obama campaign. The FEC took an active interest in it, was asking Lois Lerner, who we now know is at the center of this IRS scandal, about this organization too.
Kimberly, from what you're telling me, if the Obama campaign actually asked the IRS to go after, I guess it's the AIP is how it is, you refer to it in the article, that's a smoking gun, isn't it?
Well, what we know is that they filed a complaint to the FEC about this group. And you have to put this in context. Remember, step back. Back in 2008, Democrats and the president's campaign at the time were very concerned about the number of new conservative organizations that were getting into politics, very concerned that they would be outspent in the money game. And one of their tactics for trying to combat this was, and they were very open about this at the time, was that they were going to try to intimidate donors out of giving money to these groups. And so what they did, and this was an example of it, the Obama campaign, AIP ran some ads against the Obama team. They didn't like it, so the Obama general counsel for his campaign ended up calling on the Department of Justice to prosecute this group. They filed a complaint against this group with the Federal Election Commission. They demanded to see documents that this group had filed with the IRS. And it was sort of a harassment campaign. So what we now know is, I mean, this was a complaint filed with the FEC, which is legitimate. Anyone can do that. But what we have found out this week is that in pursuing this complaint, FEC staff were conducting an investigation without the approval of the commission. They ended up talking to Lois Lerner again over at the IRS. And we've also since found out, because of a different document that came out this week from the FEC, that the staff was very intent on trying to nail this group. They spent 5 years working on this case. It only just closed last week. And when it did close, one of the Republican commissioners went out of his way in his statement on the closing of the case to detail the extraordinary actions the staff had taken in order to try to get this particular group that had been complained about by the Obama campaign.
Kimberly, there are two issues I want to talk about. First, President Obama is kind of out on a campaign trail, and the memo that went out to literally everybody from the administration that's been talking in front of the press is phony scandal, everything's a phony scandal. Isn't it odd for a campaign to actually go after an organization like this? That seems odd to me, just as a layman.
Well, again, I think this was certainly a new turn in the way politics was being conducted. It's a tactic that was being pioneered, as it were, in 2008 by Democrats and in particular by the Obama campaign, where they were actually attempting to use government agencies to try to intimidate some of these groups. Now, and that continued, by the way. If you go and look at the 2010 election, the president was out there nearly every day on a speech complaining about these conservative organizations that were operating in elections and suggesting that they might even be doing illegal things. So this was definitely out. He was sending a message every day that, people in government ought to be taking a look at these groups. And we now, and on the other hand, also filing complaints and attempting to inspire and get federal bureaucrats to get involved in going after some of these groups. So what we have here is pretty solid evidence now that, in fact, the Federal Election Commission staff seemed to take this very seriously and was involved for close to 5 years in trying to get one of these organizations that the administration filed a complaint about.
Kim, let me take the other side of this for a second. We only have a short time, but is there any evidence that the Republican Party or the Republican campaign, in particular Mitt Romney's campaign, did anything similar?
Well, it has always been, and we should be clear about this, that it has always been the case that campaigns and political operatives, they do file complaints against each other with the Federal Election Commission. But I do think it's fair to say what happened here is the Republicans really flooded into a lot of these areas in recent election cycles, into 501c4s, social welfare organizations, a lot of these things you've been reading about in the context of the IRS investigation. And this unnerved Democrats, and they did take this to a new level in terms of their public complaints. They're sort of, remember, we also had Democratic congressmen and senators complaining to the IRS, saying they ought to get tougher on these groups. Now that we find out the IRS was targeting them and that FEC staff was looking at them, they like to suggest that they had nothing to do with this. But, orders sort of go out from the top. I mean, whether or not they're direct, whether or not it's a telephone call, or whether or not you're just simply using a megaphone every day to suggest there's a problem with these groups, somebody was listening, and clearly action was taken.
It seems like one of the myths that's being dispelled right here is that this is not just some rogue agent somewhere off in Cincinnati, doing this on their own. There's one last thing I wanted to touch on that you put in your article. Democrats are increasingly getting worried. Will any abandon ship and just kind of like not, want to step away from the president here, or at least not be seen?
Well, I think that's going to depend deeply on what comes out of some of this investigations. We got word, for instance, today that Max Baucus and Orrin Hatch, who are working in the Senate on investigation, they said that they're continuing that. They're not releasing any results until they get some more answers. You had the House Oversight Committee come out and today sent a subpoena to the Treasury Department demanding documents that the IRS has so far been refusing to hand over. So we've got a long way to go yet in this investigation, and that's going to say a lot about how Democrats handle it depending on the revelations that come.
Okay, Kim, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your expert insight.
Thank you.
That was, of course, Kimberly Strassel from the Wall Street Journal. Coming up next is our health segment with Dr. David Samadi. It's Friday. You're listening to The Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention, if you've been classified as a high-risk driver due to DUI, DWI, or tickets for aggressive driving and are required to get expensive and hard-to-find SR22 auto insurance, then you must listen to this message because we can help. We're the largest insurance company in the U.S. specializing in SR22 auto insurance and focused on serving the needs of customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5-ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm David Nelson. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm filling in for Steve while he's on vacation. This is usually our health segment, and we're going to probably have Dr. David Samani on in just a bit. But one of the things I've always wanted to ask any doctor, I'm not a kid anymore, and I think a lot of women make this decision. Certainly a lot of people in show business make this decision, whether or not to have plastic surgery. It's an important issue. And there's pros and cons to it. I've thought about it myself. I'm getting older. I'm on TV. I'm in the media. And, I make those decisions. Will I make that decision to do it? I don't know. I'm going to ask the good doctor if I should or not. I don't want to end up like Burt Reynolds. Or what are some of the other ones that, my God, some of the other ones are like Meg Ryan. Just looks like the Joker. So I'm going to ask the doctor about it, and I think he's with us via Skype. Dr. David Samani, Chairman of Urology and Chief of Robotic Surgery at Lenox Hill Hospital, and also Professor of Urology at Hofstra North Shore LIJ School of Medicine. Doctor, welcome. If your title gets any longer, we're going to have to devote a whole show to you.
I know, the whole segment is becoming the title. But I got to tell you, we just joined the healthcare system. And yesterday, the whole North Shore LIJ system were nice enough to give me the tour of the medical school. And, it's a real healthcare system of 17, 18 hospitals. And it's amazing. My role is to run the Department of Urology at Lenox Hill. So we're excited about it, and it's been a really good change for us. Thank you.
Congratulations. I was just talking about, I don't know if you heard the tease, but I was just talking about plastic surgery. And I know it's something that you looked at extensively, and you really study everything. But I have a concern. I've thought about doing it, and I'm sure a lot of women do it. But I also see the horror stories that people go too far with it. What's the end result? Is it something to consider, or should it be avoided?
Well, I can tell you that as a surgeon, I always say that surgery should be really the last resort. Because unlike medical therapy or injections and other things, surgery is not always reversible. So you have to be really sure that this is the answer and that's going to make it better, whether it's plastic surgery or surgeries for prostate cancer, etc. Having said that, you always have to really look at the risk and benefit. For people who absolutely need this and it's necessary, then I think surgery is the best way to go. Then ultimately it comes down to the experience of the surgeon. And that's absolutely the final answer. the surgeon that you choose, you have to make sure you ask all the right questions. How many of these cases do you do? What kind of results do you have? Can I talk to some of your patients that are similar to what you're going through, and ask for complications, etc. And you know, all the surgeons' reputations are out there, and it's easy to find out who is doing a high volume, who is hands-on, and then you have a good outcome.
Let me ask you this, doctor, because when I see it done, and I've had friends who have done it, and one of the things I notice that, especially with facial surgery, where especially for women, where they try to regain their youth and get rid of the wrinkles, and I guess it's some sort of nip and tuck type of operation, and when they're just standing there and they're not smiling, it looks beautiful, it looks fine. And then when they smile, like Meg Ryan, it has this almost like Joker-like look, and frankly, it looks hideous. Is there a way to is there a point in the middle where it just really looks good?
I agree with you that as a society, we're really overdoing it. There's too much Botox going on, and I think this whole Hollywood fashion is almost like a virus that's spreading the entire U.S., and more people, they think they go to these medical spas and they get these injections and they come out and they look much more attractive. And based on some of the studies that we're looking at right now, we see that they may make them look younger, but obviously a lot of times it's not natural, as you mentioned. It doesn't look real. There are some side effects from some of these Botox injections and plastic surgeries. So you got to be really careful. There's no question that it's being overdone, and a lot of these surgeries are unnecessary. So you want to be careful.
Yeah, one of the studies you point to, it may not look better, and people may see that what I'm seeing.
Exactly. This is a study that just recently came out, and they compared, and they had like 50 participants looking at the patients before and after, even though it was only one surgeon's data, and it's not a great study. But what they found out is that it really doesn't, they didn't think that these patients are becoming more attractive.
Right.
They thought that it's becoming younger, and certainly surgery is making a difference, but in a big picture, it's not making them look more attractive. So unless it's done for a good reason in the hands of experienced surgeons, I would say think twice about it.
Let me go to this other report that I saw recently about the cancer dilemma and over-treatment. And I guess one of the things that really strikes me in this report is that we seem to be able to identify, we have new tests available, and we're able to identify diseases and things like cancer and perhaps other things as well at a far earlier stage. And I guess the question is, are too many people using surgery as an option when maybe they should be giving it a little more time?
I think, well, this debate is continuing. The jury is still out. And so we got to be careful, because there are a lot of times you see that there's multiple areas of breast or prostate that may have cancer, and the doctor may say, let's do watchful waiting. And when you remove the prostate, you realize that there's a lot more cancer than what we thought. So in those cases, you may jeopardize someone's life. Having said that, I think as a result of screening, we're finding out more and more cancers earlier on, and also some of them are precancerous lesions that may or may not translate into cancer, and surgery for those is probably not necessary. No question that when you hear the word cancer, it's it's a lot of emotions involved. People are fearful, and the possibility of the cancer being spread. So I think that with the advent of genetic studies, certainly with many MRIs coming in our life, we are trying to really isolate and find out which cancer is the one that's going to kill the patient and which one we can watch. And we're getting better at it, even though it's not perfect yet. I think the future of this is going to be all in genes and genetic studies to distinguish same cancer in two different people, which one is going to have a different kind of behavior. And that would be the day that we really can say surgery or no surgery. Until then, I think a lot of patients overreact, and I can completely understand why they're afraid of the cancer. And to some extent, doctors may be overtreating, because obviously when the cancer is still contained, the cure rate is high, but once it spreads, it's a whole different ballpark. So there is no question that there's some overtreatment is going on, but that's because our diagnostic tools are not really great at this point.
I went through the scare myself. It was a number of years ago. I had something very minor, just cancer on the tip of my nose, and I was terrified by it. And I went to the doctor, get this out of here. I do not, and what I had was obviously not life-threatening, and it was frightening. But it also brings up the story of Angelina Jolie, what she did. I mean, radical surgery without cancer present, but because her genetics are predisposed. I mean, what do you think of that?
Well said. And I think that in cases like that, where there's a strong family history, the aunt had it, she has it, and that's one of the reasons why, I'm not sure if you know or not, but we just opened up a big prostate cancer center in the heart of Manhattan. And for anybody that's diagnosed with prostate cancer or precancerous lesion for prostate cancer or elevated PSAs, they can call the office, and the number is easy to remember. Perhaps you want to tell them it's 212-365-5000, and we get calls from all over the country, 212-365-5000, and I will basically study it and find out if it's really precancerous or if it's a real cancer. And sometimes it's good to have those radical procedures like Angelina Jolie because it saves lives. And sometimes I may tell the patient, absolutely, we're going to follow you in 3 months, just a blood test, and don't do it. So that personalized medicine and the way we take care of our patients is very critical, and your point is well taken.
Doctor, that number you just gave us, was that for your office?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, this is
so don't forget that.
The Cancer Institute at Lenox Hill, and the number is 212-365-5000. For anybody that's diagnosed with prostate cancer, elevated PSAs, or precancerous lesions related to prostate, the staff are ready, and I'm happy to help them personally.
That's a fantastic thing to do. Thank you for that number. We'll give it out again a little later. The other item that I saw out there, and I'm going to have to ask you to explain this to me. Talk to me about what they call the MERS virus, MERS.
Yes, this is a Middle Eastern virus that has been causing a lot of noise in the last year or so. We covered this on Sunday House Call a couple of times. It basically causes respiratory infections and some wheezing and fever, etc. It started in mostly Saudi Arabia. It's been traveling mostly in the Middle East. But of course, because of this global travel and people traveling from one place to another, there's some suspicious that now we're seeing more and more cases in London, in Germany, and in France, and it's slowly spreading. Now, everyone has been watching this very carefully. There's only about 49 cases of death in the whole world. In a big picture, even though that sounds like a big number, in the big picture, I don't think it's really as serious as the media has made it sound. Certainly in most hospitals in the U.S., we're watching it carefully. I don't know of any major serious cases in U.S., but that's one of the reasons why we need to be aware of this.
How is it transmitted, doctor?
It's from person to person, and certainly through droplets. And if you have fever, if you have fatigue, if you have a fever of unknown origin, if you have cough, and some of those symptoms that's not going away after a few days, you need to make sure that you check in and you speak to your doctor and see if it's one of those viruses.
It's that time of year where a lot of people go on vacation right now. Are there certain areas of the world where you're more likely to catch this disease?
Well, certainly in Jordan, in Kuwait, in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia, these are really the hub of this particular virus. And there's really no vaccination against this. And if you have any of those symptoms, basically the treatment is supportive to give them IV fluid and Tylenol and make sure that the virus will pass. And dehydration is a big part of this. But so far, we don't have a lot of cases in the U.S. I would not panic, but I would keep our eyes open and see, whether it's going to travel to come here.
Just for our own protection here in the United States, for people coming into the country, they're immigrating to the country or they're just here on a visa and they're just here to travel and visit, do they do anything at the border to check on this? Are there any vaccines? How do we protect ourselves here and keep it from getting in the United States?
It's almost impossible because, you have anybody that would start coughing in one of those closed planes, and with all the, air floating inside of the plane, anybody would be susceptible to this. So there's really no screening process when it comes to this. Again, this is not one of those SARS or real global problem, even though it's been sitting around now for about a year or so. the number of patients we see infected as a result of this for the period and the duration that has been around are fairly small. And that's one of the reasons why I said there's no reason to panic. We'll see how it's going to pan out in the next few weeks or months.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's good to know that we don't have to panic on that. And thanks so much again, as always. Welcome back. It's good to have you here every Friday.
Thank you so much.
That, of course, was Dr. David Samadi. Wow. Be careful out there. You know, that's the best thing you can say about that. All right. For the rest of the show, we got some great things coming up. The one I'm really looking forward to is, should humans be monogamous? Guys, what are you telling your wives? And more importantly, what are you telling yourself? Think about it, all right? And also later on in the program, we're going to have actress Shirley Jones. She's going to talk about everything in her new book, and believe me, she tells all. And coming up next, in the next segment, I'll be talking to you about a few things that I've noticed over the last week. I'll be talking about the Keystone Pipeline. I'm soloing. I'll be here solo, and I'm talking to myself here. But I have a few videos I want to share with you. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency. Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-910-3470. That's 1-800-910-3470. Call 1-800-910-3470.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows.
We have TV cameras.
Watch the show at newsmax.com
Or listen on your favorite radio station.
Here's Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm David Nelson. This is, of course, the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm filling in for Steve. I just wanted to take a few minutes and share some things I saw over the past couple of weeks. You know, the president's out on the campaign trail, sending out his economic message. You've heard me talk about the Keystone Pipeline, since probably 2010. I've been talking and writing about the Keystone. While it's not going to solve the jobs problem in this country, it certainly could help, and it's also a step in the right direction regarding energy independence. I'd like you to take a look at this cut. It's President Obama out on the campaign trail where he's talking about how many jobs Keystone is likely to bring here. Let's go to cut 8.
Yeah, they keep on talking about this, an oil pipeline coming down from Canada that's estimated to create about 50 permanent jobs. That's not a jobs plan.
50 jobs. Let me point out something, Mr. President. The State Department, your State Department, found that that Keystone would include direct and indirect effects, that the proposed Keystone project would potentially support approximately 42,100 jobs. That's annually. And not only am I saying that, right? Some in your own party are saying that as well. I'd like you to listen to former Congressman Ford, a leading Democrat, and what he has to say on Meet the Press last weekend. Let's go to cut 6.
There are things that can be done outside of what Congress has to do. For one, I'm a firm believer. Approve the Keystone Pipeline. Let's create jobs and create tax revenue for the very states who will be touched by the construction of this.
That's a
You'll
game
create
changer.
higher paying jobs. You'll create greater tax revenue.
I'm sorry, I was looking away just then, but it's pretty clear here that there's a lot of people out there that believe the Keystone Pipeline would certainly help. Mr. President, would it really hurt? So why not try it? Some other things I saw over the week. This one, I'm not even going to say anything about it. I don't really know what to say. This is State Representative Monique Davis, a statement she made on a local radio show just recently, and she was asked to appear on O'Reilly's Factor after that. But take a look at this very short segment. This is, again, State Representative Monique Davis on a local radio show. Let's go to cut 3.
I'm going to tell you what some suspicions have been, and people have whispered to me. They're not sure that black people are shooting all of these children. there's some suspicion, and I don't want to spread this, but I'm just going to tell you what I've been hearing. They suspect maybe the police are killing some of these kids.
There's nothing to even say about that. It's so absurd. I won't even go there. The other thing that I really liked, and I found this really interesting, and I pulled this back. This is from a while ago. This undercover boss that's kind of swept TV. It's been pretty exciting. I'd like you to listen to this. This is Cut 11. We're now glorifying the pest and rodent people. All right? Let's go to Cut 11.
When Bob introduced himself, I was caught off guard. I was thinking, who is this bizarre-looking guy that they just brought up to me? You can't have long hair. You can't have any sort of facial hair other than a mustache because of respirator and safety issues and things like that. So if I were a customer and Bob were to come to my door as my working man, I would be a bit surprised.
It's pretty funny stuff, but what's interesting here, after that aired, their website, career website, went off the board. CBS's career website, I guess they offer jobs, so they try to keep people informed. They got thousands of hits, people wanting to become orkin people. There you have it. The other battle that's taking place in Washington isn't between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans are really fighting amongst themselves. It's almost been a comical display out there. It's almost been a comical display. We've been watching Rand Paul and Chris Christie go to battle on virtually every airwave out there. Let's look at Cut 10.
We're going to have to patch things up. If we can sit down, I'm inviting him for a beer. Anytime he would like to come down and sit down at the pub right around the corner from the Senate, we'll have a beer.
I'm running for re-election in New Jersey. I don't really have time for that at the moment. You know, I mean, if I find myself down in Washington, I'll certainly look him up, but I don't suspect I'll be there anytime soon.
Well, I'll have a beer with him. All right. We got a great show lined up for you. Don't forget, we're going to be talking to actress Shirley Jones. Shirley Jones is going to be talking about masturbation, multiple sex partners. It's all coming up next. Right now, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530. That's 800-460-1530. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-1530. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Hello
and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. The State Department is warning of a possible security concern in closing U.S. embassies in the Muslim world Sunday. Officials would not specify if the concern is related to terrorism, but it has been reported that U.S. intelligence picked up signs of an al-Qaeda plot against American diplomatic posts in the Middle East and other Muslim countries. Sunday is the start of the work week there, so those embassies normally open will be closed. Embassies in Qatar, Kuwait, Tel Aviv, Cairo, Amman, and Bangladesh all posted notices on their websites or Twitter pages.
The department, when conditions warrant, takes steps like this to balance our continued operations with security and safety.
The security of U.S. embassies and diplomatic facilities became a political flashpoint in Washington after last year's attack in Benghazi. The Benghazi mission was ambushed twice on September 11th of 2012. 4 Americans were killed, including Ambassador Chris Stevens. Lawmakers are pursuing an investigation into those attacks and the government's response. They're also pressing new FBI Director James Comey to take action. And the White House is said to be reconsidering a planned summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin after his country granted asylum to Edward Snowden. The former NSA contractor was allowed to leave a Moscow airport Thursday and can live freely and travel freely within Russia for 1 year. Snowden is wanted in the United States for leaking top-secret U.S. surveillance programs to the press. And it was a dramatic day in a Cleveland courtroom yesterday as the man accused of holding 3 women captive for more than a decade officially learned he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. In a rambling statement, Ariel Castro apologized and said he knew he was wrong, but he blamed it on a sex addiction and said the FBI should have caught him earlier. Incredibly, he even described a happy home, but one of his victims was there to set the record straight. Michelle Knight is now 32, the longest held captive of Ariel Castro.
Days turns into nights. Nights turns into days. Years turn into eternity.
Knight was the only one of Castro's victims to face him in court yesterday. The judge also told the convicted rapist that there is no place in this world for a man who enslaves others. And Alex Rodriguez is expected to play tonight for the Yankees minor league team in Trenton, New Jersey after a long stint on the disabled list. But he'll only play if he doesn't get suspended first. A-Rod is one of 14 players facing suspensions for alleged ties to the Biogenesis Clinic in Florida. Well, coming up, Americans don't think much of members of Congress, and they don't think they can get along. But it's not as bad as this. A fight breaks out in the Taiwanese parliament, the issue that had lawmakers coming to blows. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama on the immigration reform bill, why he says it's bad for American workers. Next.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
And welcome back. We talk a lot about how poorly lawmakers get along in Washington, D.C., but check this out. A fight broke out today in the Taiwanese parliament over a proposal to build a new nuclear power plant. The political party opposed to the plan blocked the speaker's podium. Then members of other parties decided they had enough. Lawmakers started throwing water bottles and punches at each other. One guy even wore a helmet to protect himself. Well, the immigration reform debate has not come to blows quite yet. And during a Newsmax exclusive, Senator Jeff Sessions, one of Congress's most outspoken critics of the immigration reform bill, says it will hurt the wages of American workers.
We're talking about a bill that not only would legalize the 11 million, would basically double the annual flow of immigrants into the country.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 2nd. I'm John Bachman. Now here is the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson. I'm filling in for Steve today. The Lifeline program was actually started, I believe, in 1984, and it was a program with a good purpose. It was designed to give poor people or those not less fortunate than us, a chance to have a phone, some sort of lifeline in case they had an emergency, a 911, whatever. But recently, the program in cost has gone up from 822 million to recently 2.2 billion. And now there are real questions as whether or not there's fraud in the system. And there's been an excellent op-ed written on this. Jillian Melchior, she's a columnist for the National Review. She wrote a fabulous piece. Jillian, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hello?
Jillian, are you there? This is David Nelson.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. We lost you for a second there. Welcome. Read your op-ed. Fabulous piece of work. It's almost like you went undercover. Walk us through what you did.
So I had heard that there was a lot of fraud and abuse associated with the Lifeline program, which, as you mentioned, was created to make sure impoverished Americans have phone service if they need it for moms, bosses, 911, things like that. So I went to different welfare offices in New York City, and I was approached on the street by Lifeline vendors who would come up to me and say, hey, do you have your free phone yet? And then when I said no, they'd start asking me questions that were supposed to determine my eligibility but didn't do so very effectively. For example, they'd say, are you on welfare? I'm not on welfare, and based on my income level, I don't qualify for this program. So I'd tell them that. I'd say, I'm not on welfare, but I'd sure like to be. Who wouldn't? And that was enough to get them to sign me up, and I was able to get 3 Obama phones in the mail.
Why did they give you 3? Did just one vendor give you 3 or sign you up for 3? Or how did the other 2 come about?
Well, you go through the application process on the street, and then they're supposed to do some due diligence and check whether you're actually eligible. But what I find scandalous is I'm not eligible for any of them. You're supposed to either be on welfare or earn less than 136% of the poverty level. I could support a family of 8 on my income and not be in the income bracket for what they're looking for. So it was easy for me to get not only 1 cell phone but 3, which is also problematic because you're only supposed to have 1 cell phone per household. That's not 1 phone for me and my husband. That's not 1 phone for me and my roommate. That's 1 phone per household. Yet because they didn't check up on it, I was able to get 3, and I never should have.
Wow. You know, there's some reports out there that as much as 41% of the 6 million subscribers either couldn't demonstrate their eligibility or didn't respond to the request for certification. You know, money's tight in this country. I mean, we obviously have a lot of issues. We have, you know, a very tight budget. We're running a deficit, and while, you know, 2.2 billion in a $1 trillion economy means nothing in the long run, you add all these things up, and it's real money.
It sure is.
What could be done? I mean, what could have been done better? It sounds to me, I'm just speculating here, but I'm thinking the person who signed you up has some sort of incentive to get as many people into the program as they can, some sort of financial incentive. Maybe they need to have a different pay structure.
You know, you're right on that. It's the big wireless companies that have the perverse incentives, and they're actually intrinsically a part of the Lifeline program. So the way that it works is for each person that gets signed up, phone providers get about $10 a month per customer. That's a lot of money. That adds up fast. That means every time you put a Lifeline phone on the street and give it to somebody, you're getting more than $100 a year. Now, the incentive there is for the phone companies to go out and, you know, distribute as many phones as they can. The problems began, I think, when the federal government got in the cell phone business, and when the cell phone business supposedly got in the business of verifying who's on welfare and who's not. That's not the job of either of them, and it's not really surprising that we have problems.
There was one Fox News report that I saw, and it might have even been you, I'm not sure, but there was one Fox News report who somebody was getting signed up on the program, and they were standing there talking to somebody on their own cell.
That was me.
That was you.
That was me. I mean,
My
this program,
Lord.
this shows how far it's gotten from what it's supposed to be. So keep in mind, it's supposed to provide phone service for people who are so poor that they couldn't even afford a $10 phone plan a month, right? But I'm going up on my smartphone, talking really loudly into it, getting off the phone only so that I can put in my application for my much-needed phone, and then playing on my phone while they're signing me up. I clearly don't need this phone, but that's what I'm getting. Another thing I'll give you is, so I mentioned you can only have one cell phone per household. I told different vendors at locations, I've already received a Lifeline phone. It's from SafeLink, which is owned by TracFone, which is Carlos Slim, the Mexican billionaire's company. I already have one phone from them. And they told me, it's okay, you can have one phone from every wireless provider. Now,
they actually said that. They said it was okay. And I got to imagine that's a clear violation of the rules, isn't it?
It is a clear violation of the rules. It's simply not true. And I think that's exactly what happens when you have a program that's got this much money and this poor administration.
Let me ask you, the obvious question here is, what kind of phone was it?
So they're like, I would describe them as early 2000 phones. They're definitely not an iPhone, but they work, and you get 250 minutes a month, and you get 250 text messages. And remember, you're supposed to be poor enough you can't even afford $10. Well, as soon as you sign up, they want to sell you upgrades. They're well in excess of $10.
So they're all going to end up with iPhones in the end.
It totally negates the purpose. And when I got my phones, another thing is they'd mail me my phone, and along with my acceptance letter for the phone, they'd give me a sheet in case I wanted to pass it along to any of my friends so that they could apply to get on the program.
Wow, it sounds like they got a plan to make a lot of money here. Let me ask a broader topic here, because this is just one program. There are probably hundreds of programs like this or similar to this, maybe not phones, but something else. Have you come across anything else out there?
I mean, I think fraud and abuse are pretty common anytime you've got purportedly something for nothing, right?
Right.
But what's the real problem with this program is it's claiming that it's welfare for the poor, but what it really is corporate welfare. Big corporations are benefiting from this. Meanwhile, taxpayers are funding it, and they're suffering. I mean, it's middle-class Americans, poor Americans with a cell phone plan that they've managed to pay for on their own, and they're getting charged about $250 a month that goes into this universal service fund that goes to pay for the Lifeline phones.
Any idea, like, what kind of profit margins are in something like this? They give you a phone. What do you think the guy who gave you the phone or signed you up for the phone, I'm guessing the phone is probably worth, well, the plan was worth what to them, do you think?
About $10 a month usually.
$10 a month. I'm
And
just going to work backwards. I'm guessing that's probably, an $80 sell to the guy who signed you up.
You know, I wouldn't know what it is for the guy who signed me up, but I'll give you a tea on the other end. So TracFone, which is owned by Carlos Slim, the Mexican billionaire, I was looking up a Politico report, and it said that he got nearly $500 million in support payments in 2011 through the Lifeline program.
Back up.
Yep.
Back up. Who's this now? The Track?
This is TracFone. This is owned
TracFone
by
is who?
TracFone is owned by a Mexican billionaire, Carlos Slim. He's probably
Carlos Slim owns TracFone, and you're telling me he gets how much?
One of the richest men in the world gets, apparently he got almost $500 million in support payments in 2011 alone.
Wow.
This is huge corporate welfare. It's a program that was created to benefit the poor, but has gotten totally
out of control. Out of control. Jillian, Thank you so much for the hard work. It's a great expose article. Got to have you back.
Great. Thank you so much.
That, of course, was Jillian Melchior. She's a columnist for the National Review. That is crap. That is just out of control. This kind of Carlos Slim is getting rich, off U.S. taxpayers. I don't even know what to say with that. I'm just going to tease my next guest because I'm pretty hot under the collar here. All right. Coming up next, Matt Patterson, labor policy expert at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. He joins us to discuss whether Chicago shares the same fate as Detroit. We're going to find out. You're listening to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54. With a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson, filling in for Steve. And as it is Friday, no jacket today. No jacket today. Well, just a week or so ago, you saw what happened in Detroit. And we talked about it on this show. And the biggest concern I had was that Detroit could really become played out in a lot of cities across this country. And there could be possibly a domino effect. That's my big concern. I'm also afraid that if Detroit, does not pay their debts to the capital markets, bondholders obviously got hit. What does it mean in terms of other cities raising capital as well? And now this seems to be unfolding now in Chicago as well, and there's some real concern there. Joining us is Matt Patterson, labor policy expert at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, and we're going to talk about Chicago. Matt, thanks so much for being with us.
Great to be here. Let me just get my jacket off. Hold on one sec. There we go. Now it feels like Friday.
Now it feels like Friday, right? No jacket on a Friday is definitely a Friday thing. You know what? We may go to no ties next week. We'll see. I'll talk to Steve about it. So, Matt, I'm hearing some information out there. I'm a finance guy, and I look at balance sheets and I look at income statements and I look at Chicago. And if it was a stock, I'd be shorting it.
Yeah, the news from Chicago is not good. I mean, downgraded by Moody's. I mean, it's just a horrible thing. And this is one of the largest, most global cities we have. It's an awful situation. However, I do think there's some important differences between Chicago and Detroit that we should keep in mind. And actually, there's a couple of ways that Detroit is very unique. And that's not to say that other cities don't have their problems and there's going to be huge pension liabilities that are going to come due, but I think Detroit was unique for several ways, and one of them is the United Auto Workers Union. Detroit is basically a one-industry town, and you have one union that basically took over that entire industry, and when the industry went kaput, it sort of helped drag the city along down with it. Chicago is a very different story, and I think the role of the United Auto Workers Union in the death of Detroit has been really and shamefully underreported.
Matt, as I said, I'm a finance guy, and I look at assets, and I look at two sides of the balance sheet. What about cash in Chicago? I saw a figure out there that just knocked my socks off, and I can't even believe it's true. Maybe you can weigh in on this. I saw that at one point, maybe it was only briefly, their cash levels got down to $33 million. That's very, very low for a major city.
Well, I hadn't heard that number, but it is very, very low. The most horrendous thing about these sort of cash shortages and pension liabilities is how much it hurts poor people and working class people the most, the people who really depend on the vital public services, police, firefighters, I mean, those services, when they go, it hurts the whole city, but especially the people who are most vulnerable. So I think that's what you're really going to be have to be worried about. And when you have a situation where you have Chicago, which is already a very dangerous city, you have cutbacks in police and firefighters, it becomes more dangerous. Then that just sort of starts a flight of investment and the tax base from the city, like we saw in Detroit for decades, people just moving out in droves because it just got to be too dangerous to live there. I think that's when you start a death spiral as far as demographics and the tax base goes.
Well, there's an interesting correlation there, and you bring up a very important point. And one of the things that really did kill Detroit was the mass exodus of people out of Detroit. There were many living in the suburbs, but I mean the population had literally disintegrated over decades, and that erodes the tax base, your ability to create revenue. People abandon the property, so you're not even going to get any money on the property taxes. Is there any evidence of that people are actually starting to pick up and leave Chicago?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I think Chicago is a much more diverse town as far as industry and population. I don't think you're seeing that yet in Chicago. But again, how long can these types of violent crime rates sustain a population that size? Sooner or later, and especially if police and fire services get cut back, people are going to leave. And the Detroit population drain is really one of the most astonishing trends in American history. And at the end of World War II, they had about 1.5, almost 2 million people. Now it's less than 700,000, I think. I mean, it's just a tremendous erosion of population, and you're right, the tax base. And again, I have to come back to the United Auto Workers Union, who had a real role in eroding that tax base. In the first 12 years of this century, the big three automakers shed about 200,000 jobs. That's about 60% of its salaried workforce. That's a tremendous hit for the tax base of a city that's already having a hard time paying its bills.
Well, let's go back. Let's talk about Chicago for a second. We've identified the problem. And now the question is, what is the solution? And what are they doing? What is the government there doing to help stem this exodus and do something to beef up the finances? They got to do something.
Well, the first thing that's got to happen is the public sector unions have got to be taken under control. I mean, I know Rahm Emanuel, he really stood up to the teachers union last year, and we lauded him for that. We covered that story very closely. But, the public sector unions have just driven up the cost of government so much with these collective bargaining agreements that cost the taxpayer enormous sums, billions and billions of dollars, and not just in salaries, but legacy costs, pension, health care, that are in many instances much better than you would get in the private sector. That has to be addressed. And I think, especially if you're Rahm Emanuel or any politician in Illinois, and you have competitors in neighboring states like Mitch Daniels in Indiana or Scott Walker in Wisconsin, who have really tamed their public sector unions and brought the cost of government down to the point where those states are now very, very attractive to businesses. I think at the very least, Rahm Emanuel has some great examples in his neck of the woods as far as how to bring the city's budget in line and how to attract new businesses to the city.
You seem to like what he's doing. I mean, how would you rate his efforts so far?
Well, I would say it's been very mixed. I was really pleased with the way he stood up to the teachers union. He's been less well in other areas. But I think for a Democratic politician in a major, very liberal American city, I think he's been, fairly good. I mean, better than you used to be able to.
Well,
expect.
let's see how that pans out. Let's hope it gets better. Matt, thank you so much for being with us.
Anytime. Thank you.
Coming up next is Matt Kibbe, President and CEO of FreedomWorks. This is the Steve Malzberg Show, and I'm David Nelson. We'll be right back.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I'm David Nelson. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm filling in for Steve today. Obamacare, we've been talking about it, the Affordable Care Act. We've been talking about this for forever. Steve certainly has weighed in on this. And now there's efforts to defund it, and I'm not sure that's even possible. There are certainly a lot of complaints with the Affordable Care Act. The very fact that it's even run by the IRS is really almost comical in a sense, but I'd like to see how we're going to get out of this. So we're going to talk to Matt Kibbe, President and CEO of FreedomWorks, and he joins us by phone. Matt, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, good to be back.
Hey, Matt, walk me through what you're talking about here, what you're going to try to do here. You're talking about defunding Obamacare. How do we do that?
So Senator Mike Lee and a number of his colleagues, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and some others, have proposed that given the fact that there's very few people in Washington that actually think that Obamacare is functioning yet, including the president, who suspended the employer mandate. The chief architects in the Democratic Party have argued that this thing is a train wreck, and obviously every Republican voted against it. It strikes us that it doesn't make sense to fund something in the coming budget that no one thinks is ready for prime time. So what Mike Lee has proposed, that come October 1, when Republicans and Democrats try to hammer out a new, what's called a continuing resolution, which is the new way of budgeting in Washington, and that's a different conversation. But what he's proposing is that no funds be spent to implement Obamacare until and if the president and the rest of us agree that this thing is actually working. Because right now it's a train wreck, and given that we're spending money we don't have, that the national debt is still $17 trillion. It just doesn't make much sense to do that. So what we're asking House Republicans in particular to do, who have the power of the purse, the Republicans have the majority, they should pass a continuing resolution that does not include funding for Obamacare. It would fund the rest of the government, and we would go from there. And I think that's the only way that we're going to get to rational health care policy.
I would certainly agree that it's a train wreck. I got to tell you that the most popular video on Newsmax, every time I'm on, I show it. I didn't show it today. Is Senator Max Baucus speaking before the, in congressional testimony, saying that it is a train wreck, and of course he's certainly a leader of the Democratic Party. But my question is this: I certainly would like to see it go away. My question is, what will be the perception of the American people if, in fact, you do that? Are we going to come up with the same kind of rhetoric that we heard the last time, like when we crossed over into the new year, the wranglings around the budget, around the deficit and the debt limit? This could kind of fall into that. Aren't you worried about American backlash?
Well, I think whatever we do on the budget, you're going to have a fight. And we went through this fight with the sequester where both Republicans and Democrats committed to finding those savings. And then once it came time to actually accept them, they talked about how this was going to be devastating to the American economy and devastating to the budget. Of course, all of the Chicken Little predictions didn't happen, and what was a small haircut on the budget proceeded. It's a very messy process because virtually no one in Washington wants to make the tough decisions to cut the budget. So the American people are rightly disgusted by the whole process, and the very fact that we're using a continuing resolution to fund the American government is a violation of basic budget laws. They're supposed to pass a budget every year by April 15th. They're supposed to reconcile all of those appropriations bills and have everything done before the October 1 deadline. But that's not how they do it anymore. So I think we do have to explain to the American people why the process is broken and why it doesn't make sense to fund something that would be so unfair and so devastating to the American economy. But that's always the fight, and we have to take that fight on.
The employee mandate in the Affordable Care Act, that's been postponed now and moved to 2015. And I got to believe there's many that would like to see the individual mandate moved as well. Why not channel your efforts in that end? Let's move it out another couple of years so we can continue the debate and maybe find a better solution. Because the other side of this argument, and the criticism that I would even point to the Republican Party on, it's one thing to not like Obamacare, but on the other side of that, you got to have a solution. What's going to be the Republican answer when that outcry comes?
Well, keep in mind that the CR is the only must-pass legislative vehicle that exists, and the House Republicans could pass. I mean, they've repealed Obamacare 30 or 40 times. You hear the Democrats talk about this all the time, and the Senate ignores it. The president arbitrarily suspends the employer mandate, but refuses to consider doing the same with the individual mandate, which would be a fair solution and something that I would very much support. But there's no vehicle by which to force Democrats to do anything except the budget, and that's why Senator Lee has chosen this tactic. It's not pretty, it's not perfect, but the fact of the matter is it's fundamentally unfair to suspend the employer mandate and then enforce the individual.
Well, I would agree with you there. I certainly would agree with you there, Matt. There are many that have said that it was almost an illegal act. By moving the employer mandate, the president doesn't really have the authority to pick and choose which part of the law he wants to enforce. And I agree with you on that issue. Maybe a better way to go is force the employer mandate back and let the Democrats pull the law.
Yeah, but any strategy we come up with, you're going to come back to the fact that the only leverage point we have is the budget and the deadline of October 1, because everything else can be ignored. The Senate doesn't have to act if the House does. The president doesn't have to sign, even if the House and Senate act. But here's my fear, and I'm a Republican. So here's my fear.
is that we're going to come up to this wall, all right, and the CR is going to have to be passed. The markets are going to start to rocket. Start to rock, and they're going to be all over the place. People are going to start to panic, and then somebody's going to blink, which is what always happens in these things. And one way or another, this law is still the law of the land. And I think somebody's going to blink. The CR will be passed, and we've lost an opportunity. And what will also happen is that the reputation of the Republican Party could also be damaged going into the presidential election, because the Democrats are certainly going to throw it back. The party that says no to everything. How are we going to avoid that?
Yeah, and it's the fact is that if you don't go into a negotiation with what you want, you won't get it. And if we go into that budget negotiation with nothing, we're going to get less than nothing, and the president's going to try to refund the sequester savings, and he's got new stimulus spending he wants to put in there. And I think we put our demands on the table, and I point back to other instances where standing on principle has been the right strategy, and I really believe that it is.
Give me an example.
In 2010, after the election, it was widely understood that the Bush tax rates would go back to Clinton rate era. And nobody believed, except for this incoming class, and these were members that weren't even members yet, but you had this massive new class of Republicans that were insisting on this. And we succeeded from the bottom up, from the grassroots, to get Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and Barack Obama to extend the Bush tax rates. No one thought it could be done, but it was public opinion and grassroots pressure that made them do that. And that's what August is about, going forward. And on this debate of whether or not we proceed with Obamacare, whether or not it's fair to suspend the employer mandate and not the individual mandate, that's a conversation we have to have in August.
Well, it's going to be a huge task, Matt, and we'll see how that plays out. My biggest fear, as I said, is what's going to be the image of the Republican Party when we come up to that wall. I guess we're going to have you back, and we can talk about it then.
Okay, great.
Matt, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank
that, of
you.
course, was Matt Kibbe, President and CEO of FreedomWorks. I think this could be a very dicey moment for the Republican Party, and I didn't get an answer to the question I was asking. The Republicans have got to come up with their own plan. They have to have an alternative. Can't just say no to it. You got to come up with a plan. And Speaker Boehner has really come up with nothing, and he's not really in control of the Republican Party. And frankly, I think our party needs new leadership. Enough of that. Let's talk about the rest of the show. Don't forget, we're going to be finding out, should humans be monogamous? I have some friends of mine who have their own answers to that, and I'd like to know, men, what are you telling your wives and what are you telling yourselves? Coming up in the next block, we've got Jordan Tabak Bank. I hope I said that right. CEO of Beverly Loan Company and New York Loan Company. He's going to join us to discuss his pawn shop for millionaires. You're listening to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson. We'll be right back.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's Get Up and Go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson filling in for Steve. You know, all of us hit some hard times. I've hit some hard times, and I've visited pawn shops in the past. I pawned my guitar once. I needed the money, and it was the right thing for me to do back then. I had to pay the rent, and then I was able to get my guitar back. I remember it was a really priceless Les Paul, and I needed the money, so I did it. But, you know, rich people have these problems too. And millionaires sometimes need a place to go to get some cash. And my next guest is the guy they need to go to. Joining us right here in the studio is Jordan Tabak Bank. He's the CEO of Beverly Loan Company and New York Loan Company. And he's going to talk about pawn shops for millionaires. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me, David.
First, let me understand this, all right? I'm a millionaire, say. And I've got a Rolex. You're the guy I go to?
Sure. Even millionaires have liquidity issues.
Okay.
For instance, if you're a millionaire and you need a quick loan from a bank because you need some cash for the weekend, a bank is not going to provide you with a line of credit.
Hold on a second. Hold on. If I'm a millionaire, all right, and I need cash for the weekend, I'm probably in bad shape. I mean, it's probably a bigger item than that.
Not necessarily. You might want a quiet loan. Maybe your funds are tied up in investments, or maybe there are plenty of millionaires with poor credit. We do not conduct credit checks. We do not ding credit. The collateral speaks for itself.
Now, how do you have to do any investigative work? Because somebody comes in with a Rolex, could be hot. What do you do? I mean, how do you protect yourself? The police could come in and take it away from you.
Well, first off, we're a highly regulated industry on a federal, state, and local level. So both shops, both my Beverly Hills shop and my New York City shop, are highly regulated. And less than less than 1/10 of 1% of stolen goods land in pawn shops. As far as fakes are concerned and protecting myself from fakes, I only hire the best of the best. We hire certified gemologists who graduated from GIA, who know diamonds and watches and can really identify and evaluate goods.
You know, I've seen that name in the past, and a gemologist. I love the sound. I love the sound of that. Recently, I believe it was about a week ago, there was that huge heist that we saw overseas. I can't even remember where it was. But yeah, there you go. And it was I guess it was at gunpoint. We were talking, I think it was $35 million in jewels stolen. Couldn't that trickle its way around and somehow end up at your doorstep?
You know, lucky for me, in Beverly Hills, we're in the Bank of America building on the corner of Beverly Drive and Little Santa Monica, a high-profile location on the 3rd floor. The reason we're not storefront is confidentiality and security. We have an armed guard at the door. My clientele likes the fact that they're dealing with us in private offices and it's safe and secure. In New York City, in our new location, we're in the International Gem Tower, probably the most secure building in New York City, built specifically for the gem trade.
Now, let's imagine this. I'm fantasizing because I don't have any of these things. I'm not that wealthy. But if I have something as high-end as maybe a $10 million Picasso, and that's probably a very low number, I have no idea what it's worth. Could I come to you with something so esoteric as that and try to get a loan on that? And how much would you give me on that?
Sure. Well, we will make loans against any fine jewelry, watches, fine art, entertainment, and sports memorabilia, so long as it's one-of-a-kind memorabilia. Okay. As for a Picasso, first we do our due diligence to make sure that it is indeed authentic. And then from there, well, the first thing we will always ask our customers, are you looking to sell it or get a loan against it? If they're getting a loan against it, it is a short-term, non-recourse loan, and we hold it in our vault. And of course, I'd say, how much are you looking to borrow? We never encourage our borrowers to borrow more than they absolutely need. Reason being, we want them to pick it up.
Well, if I'm borrowing money from you and putting the painting there, you know, I'm not giving you a $10 million, Picasso to hold and asking you, you got $100 over the weekend. I'm going to want some serious cash. What's the most I could get on a $10 million loan?
You know, for a $10 million loan, our loans typically
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. What's the most I could get on a $10 million, piece of property?
We would likely loan at least half the value.
Okay.
But understand, we help customers of all walks of life. We will loan as little as a couple $100, and we'll loan as much as 7 figures.
All right, so you're willing to loan all this money, and that could be very attractive, but I gotta believe the rates must be very high.
Rates, we happen to be located in lower interest rate states. But it's unfair to look at a pawn loan in terms of APR simply because it's a short-term credit product.
APR? Could you define what that is?
Sure, that's the annual percentage rate.
Okay.
The average pawn loan is in loan for 30 days or less. So what people do is they use it as a line of credit. See, banks aren't lending to anyone at this point.
That is very true.
So they can come to us, and my customers are extremely appreciative of the service we provide. We provide short-term credit, something you can't find anywhere these days.
These people must be, I gotta believe, you're telling me, I mean, you put these pawn shops, is what they are, really. It's a place to go to get money, and you're putting them away from people to see, which is different because most of them are storefronts, all right? So, and I get the attraction of that. If Lindsay Lohan needs a quick loan because she's got to pay a court fee, or her lawyer, you're probably the perfect place to go. She's probably got some piece of memorabilia that's worth a lot of money. But these people are hitting rough times. What kind of confidence did you have that you're going to not get stuck with this thing? And it might be hard to sell a Picasso because things could be spinning out of control for these people.
Well, one thing to keep in mind, our redemption rate, and we've been in business 75 years in Beverly Hills.
75 years.
The New York operation opened because people were flying in from New York City to get loans from us because we are sort of a niche business. But one thing to keep in mind, and in 75 years, our redemption rate has averaged over 90%, meaning 90% of people get their goods back.
90% of people get their goods back. All right, let me go for the money shot. What's the most outrageous, most expensive thing that's come into your shop that you've offered money on?
The most expensive thing's large GIA certified diamonds.
I want a specific one. I want to know who it was.
I'm not going to tell you who it was.
Come
One
on.
reason we've been in
Nobody's
business
listening to
75 years. Confidentiality. Discretion has always been the cornerstone of our business.
Can you give me a dollar figure?
It's 7 figures. Seven figures on a pink diamond, one pink diamond, loose, not even sats.
All right, crew, I want you to go right to the internet, find out who pawned a pink diamond. How many people could have a pink diamond? Is that a common?
Yeah, I wish I saw more of them. If anyone out there is listening and has one, feel free to bring it in.
All right. We're going to leave it right there. It's fascinating. I hope someday I need your services.
Well, we're happy to help.
Thanks so much for being with us. That, of course, was Jordan Tabak Bank. He's the CEO of Beverly Loan Company and New York Loan Company. And we'll see how that pans out. All right. Coming up, and still the rest of the show, don't forget, we're going to be talking to a sexologist. We're going to be talking about, should humans be monogamous? I don't know. Should humans be monogamous? What are you guys thinking there? I want a thumbs up or thumbs down. Well, you guys are really, really wishy-washy. Their wives are watching this program. I got one thumbs up. All right. We got one thumbs up on there. We're going to be talking to sexologist Pepper Schwartz. She's a sociology professor. She'll be up with us a little later in the show. And don't forget, we're going to have actress Shirley Jones. And I got to tell you, I'm not kidding. Your socks are going to be knocked off when you see this interview. She tells all. And this book is... It's an open book of Hollywood, and it's really kind of what goes on in Hollywood. And she's going to be talking about everything, including, if you can imagine, Shirley Jones, mom from the Partridge Family. She's going to be talking about masturbation, all right? With yours truly, she's going to be talking about masturbation. All right, coming up next, we're going to have David Willizol. I said that wrong. He's co-author of the book, Is College Worth It? Did that with Bill Bennett. You're listening to The Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson. We'll be right back.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop.
Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. The State Department is warning of a possible security concern in closing U.S. embassies in the Muslim world Sunday. Officials would not specify if the concern is related to terrorism, but it has been reported that U.S. intelligence picked up signs of an al-Qaeda plot against American diplomatic posts in the Middle East and other Muslim countries. Sunday is the start of the work week there, so those embassies normally open will be closed. Embassies in Qatar, Kuwait, Tel Aviv, Cairo, Amman, and Bangladesh all posted notices on their websites or Twitter pages.
The department, when conditions warrant, takes steps like this to balance our continued operations with security and safety.
The security of U.S. embassies and diplomatic facilities became a political flashpoint in Washington after last year's attack in Benghazi. The Benghazi mission was ambushed twice on September 11th of 2012. 4 Americans were killed, including Ambassador Chris Stevens. Lawmakers are pursuing an investigation into those attacks and the government's response. They're also pressing new FBI Director James Comey to take action. And the White House is said to be reconsidering a planned summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin after his country granted asylum to Edward Snowden. The former NSA contractor was allowed to leave a Moscow airport Thursday and can live freely and travel freely within Russia for 1 year. Snowden is wanted in the United States for leaking top-secret U.S. surveillance programs to the press. And it was a dramatic day in a Cleveland courtroom yesterday as the man accused of holding 3 women captive for more than a decade officially learned he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. In a rambling statement, Ariel Castro apologized and said he knew he was wrong, but he blamed it on a sex addiction and said the FBI should have caught him earlier. Incredibly, he even described a happy home, but one of his victims was there to set the record straight. Michelle Knight is now 32, the longest held captive of Ariel Castro.
Days turns into nights. Nights turns into days. Years turn into eternity.
Knight was the only one of Castro's victims to face him in court yesterday. The judge also told the convicted rapist that there is no place in this world for a man who enslaves others. And Alex Rodriguez is expected to play tonight for the Yankees minor league team in Trenton, New Jersey after a long stint on the disabled list. But he'll only play if he doesn't get suspended first. A-Rod is one of 14 players facing suspensions for alleged ties to the Biogenesis Clinic in Florida. Well, coming up, Americans don't think much of members of Congress, and they don't think they can get along. But it's not as bad as this. A fight breaks out in the Taiwanese parliament, the issue that had lawmakers coming to blows. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama on the immigration reform bill, why he says it's bad for American workers. Next.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
I love you, son, so it hurts when you say I hate you. I'm your mother.
I'm tired of you disrespecting me when you don't get your way. I work hard to make sure you have everything you need. I should be able to ask you to get out of bed in the morning without a fight. So from now on, things are going to be different. I ordered the Total Transformation Program. We're not going to scream and fight anymore. I'm going to tell you what to do in a different way, and you're going to do it. You're not going to call me ugly names anymore, and if you do, you're going to get consequences that'll keep you from calling me ugly names. We're not going to do things your way anymore, son. We're going to do things the Total Transformation way.
Get the Total Transformation free. Just order the program, tell us how it works for you, and you can keep it for free. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520. Call now. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520.
And welcome back. We talk a lot about how poorly lawmakers get along in Washington, D.C., but check this out. A fight broke out today in the Taiwanese parliament over a proposal to build a new nuclear power plant. The political party opposed to the plan blocked the speaker's podium. Then members of other parties decided they had enough. Lawmakers started throwing water bottles and punches at each other. One guy even wore a helmet to protect himself. Well, the immigration reform debate has not come to blows quite yet. And during a Newsmax exclusive, Senator Jeff Sessions, one of Congress's most outspoken critics of the immigration reform bill, says it will hurt the wages of American workers.
We're talking about a bill that not only would legalize the 11 million, would basically double the annual flow of immigrants into the country.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 2nd. I'm John Bachman. Now here is the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson, filling in for Steve. College enrollment, it's a decision that a lot of graduating seniors have to make coming out of high school. And I've had this discussion with my own son. He chose to go into the military. That was his choice. But the cost of college has been skyrocketing for decades now, and it's been a vicious cycle. And it needs to be brought to the forefront. And now that the staggering amount of student loan debt, some say it could really cripple the economy. This could be another housing crisis, all rolled up into one. Joining us to help us understand how serious the problem is David Willisall. He's the co-author of the book, Is College Worth It? He wrote it with Bill Bennett, who we've had on the program as well. David, welcome. This is an important topic. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, I'm really glad to be here, David.
David, David, I look at this topic and I'm frightened by it because I just feel that there are too many kids going to school feeling that it's almost a guarantee to get a job. And what I like about your book, it forces you to really question the conventional wisdom that every student, in fact, should go to college. Walk us through the book.
Yeah, well, the thesis of the book is not don't go to college. It's, we want kids to understand the fact that, if you're going to go run out and try and get a bachelor's degree, good earnings and all that accompany your career afterward are dependent on where you go to college, what you study, how much you borrow, and what kind of person you are academically and intellectually. Do you have the aptitude and the inclination to do it? So I think there's a lot in there that kids and parents are going to take away. That's why that was a big motivation for why I wrote it. As somebody who does have a good bit of student loan debt.
I'm glad you mentioned the debt, because one of the trends that you point out that I found particularly troublesome was that in recent years, consumer debt has actually been declining, but student loan debt is going through the roof.
Right. Well, that's because tuition keeps climbing. I actually was talking to the president of a private university the other day, and he and I were talking about this story in the New York Times, actually, where there's declining enrollment at a lot of private colleges. Well, people, I think, are starting to realize that, it's not necessarily what is taught in class that's the premium to a college education. It's having that piece of paper that says, I graduated college. And when people start to realize that the product is generally really similar at a lot of places, they're not going to be willing to shell out for as much money for an education that's quote unquote, more prestigious, at one school over another. They're going to start to look for more value.
One of the things when I was talking to Bill about the book, pointed out that perhaps if you're getting into Stanford, it makes sense to go. Here's the issue that I've always had, is that so many of our young people, you come out of high school, maybe you're not sure what you want to be. You maybe just need a little time to think it out. And sure, if you know you want to be an electrical engineer, by all means you should go to school. But what bothers me is so many kids go to school going for that liberal arts education, and they're going to find themselves. It's a very costly place to do that.
Yeah, and you hit on the head. College, I think a college campus these days for a lot of kids, it's kind of the de facto place for adult, identity formation. Well, people became productive adults and citizens in society when only 5% or 1% of the population was going to college, So I think you're absolutely right about that. And there's a lot of students who are studying things or, fall in love with subjects which, intrinsically they have plenty of good value and plenty of merit to them. I mean, Bill and I both have graduate degrees in the liberal arts. But a lot of kids are running out to study this stuff or study, psychology or communications. And again, it's not anything essentially wrong with those things, but they need to have the right ideas about what their return on investment is going to produce in terms of being able to get hired and being able to make money.
One of the things that you expose, the two of you expose so well in this book is how the cost of college has risen through decades, and it was frightening. It was really an indictment of the system. Walk us through how all this cheap money and the fact that government helps students out, there's a downside to that.
Yeah. So as you know, it's really easy to get student loans from the government. If you're a student who's enrolled at a school, it's basically pretty easy to get a student loan. Well, what happens is the universities see this and they say, okay, we have a backstop for revenue here. If we raise revenue, the government isn't going to cut off money. They're going to allow students to keep borrowing. So the colleges like to build expensive, fancy dorms and cafeterias and stuff like that. They like to hire star faculty who do their own research and don't teach students. They like to make nice floral arrangements on the campuses and things like that to try and compete with one another to make it a nice place to seem to go. But all that cost gets passed on to the students in the form of tuition increases, and they're able to do that because they know there's an unending money spigot in the form of federal student loans behind all that.
So if I think I'm right in this, but correct me if I'm wrong, so that by the money being so cheap, and actually cheap isn't the right word to put it. I guess the money being so available, the students know they can get the money, that the faculty, the schools, the administrators of these schools understand that. They just hike up the rates, knowing that the kids can still get the money. It's a spiral only upward.
Right. So it has to, and as you know, since 1978, tuition has increased like 1,100% or something like that. There's
do you have any idea? Let me just break in. What does that work out to on an annual basis?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what it would be on an annual basis, but I mean, let's take this. I mean, if you talk to people who graduated in the 70s, they'll routinely tell you, even through the early 80s, they'll routinely tell you, oh, my tuition was, $500, $800 a semester or something like that. I mean, even through, mid 90s, it was getting to be around, $7,000, $8,000 a semester for a private school education, and now it's in the mid 30s. So you can kind of get a sense from that, I think.
When I talk to business leaders out there, especially CEOs in the manufacturing industry, we're obviously in this country, we're looking to improve the job situation. We just had a jobs number today that wasn't all that exciting. It was a little disappointing. But there are apparently a lot of jobs out there that are not necessarily, for those that are college bound. They say they need qualified, really well-schooled individuals for some of these jobs, and some figures have it out there. There are hundreds of thousands of jobs like this, but it requires maybe more like an apprenticeship. Why aren't students going that route?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think I think for one thing, we've kind of looked down on anything less than a college degree, in terms of educational attainment, and we've kind of said, all right, if you work with your hands for a living, this is dumb, dirty, or dangerous work. Well, let me tell you. I'm a journalist, and I work with Bill Bennett, and that's great. But I know that a lot of these guys who are talented plumbers, electricians, utility linemen, welders, things like that, I know they're making more money than I am. There's a big number of jobs out there which are skilled labor jobs which are going unfilled. And so I think for a lot of people who aren't sure what they want to do, maybe they're kind of honest with themselves and realize they don't particularly enjoy or are good at, school. That's a path that's worth exploring because the country needs those jobs, and a lot of the men and women doing those jobs these days are getting ready to retire. It's
not even necessarily dirty hands work. Some of the jobs they point out require a certain amount of computer skills and machinery skills. This is high-tech machinery we're talking about. It's going to take a while to learn it, but it's a real skill with a real future. And not everybody is you're not coming out with a liberal arts education. What are you really trained for with a liberal arts education? Now you've got to go to graduate school, and now the cost really gets up there.
Yeah, that's where people get into trouble a lot of the time with debt is liberal arts graduate school. Coming back to the other point, 1 in 10 jobs in this country is a sub-bachelor's degree STEM job, science, technology, engineering, and math. And those jobs pay a median of $53,000 a year. So that's an associate's degree maybe in computer science or some technical discipline like that. So there's good economic prospects out there. It's unfortunate that we haven't recognized the encourage more kids to go that route.
Some in Congress are starting to recognize the problem. We've only got a short time, and I want to focus on this for a second. Senators Ron Wyden and Marco Rubio, they introduced a bill called Know Before You Go, because what happens to a lot of students, they go to these colleges, they rack up all this debt, and the evidence was out there long before they even went in there that the job prospects were far less than what they were being told.
Yeah. I think in this case, sunlight is the best disinfectant, is what the Chief Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes used to say. And I think there's a lot of people who didn't realize what they were getting into, realizing that, if I borrow $60,000 and study sociology, that I don't think they realized that was going to be a negative value proposition.
Wow.
But now, this Know Before You Go Act, I think Bill and I both think it's a really good thing. It's kind of like the mortgage crisis that we had a couple years ago. A lot of people just didn't understand that they were trying to do things that were beyond their means. But I think this is a good, really, really good and politically easy first step to help solve the problem.
Well, David, congratulations on the book. It's an important read. I would encourage every college-bound student to read this. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks very much, David. I really liked it.
That, of course, was David Willisall. He's co-author of the book, Is College Worth It? And kids, I got to tell you, think about it. Think about it. If you know what you want to do and you're certain as to what your future is going to be and the profession you want to go to, that you want to get into, and it requires a college education, go for it. But if you're going for a liberal arts degree and you think you're going to find yourself in the next 4 years, don't waste your time. Go get a job. That's probably the best thing you could do. Find yourself, find your dream. You won't be sorry. You'll do much better than that. All right. Coming up next, I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about some items that are important to me. But then I'm devoting the rest of the hour to sex. We're going to talk about nothing but sex. We're going to have a sexologist on talking about should humans be monogamous, and actress Shirley Jones. You're listening to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it, or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
The former NSA contractor Edward Snowden has finally left the building of the International Sheremetyevo Airport, where he has been stuck in a transit limbo for more than a month. And that information has already been confirmed by many sources. And Anatoly Kucherena said that he was the one who helped Edward Snowden to leave the airport, and that now, quote, Snowden is in a safe place and that the paperwork that he has been given is valid for up to a year, which means that for this period of time exactly, he is able to freely work, live, and travel across the Russian Federation.
Well, there you have it, former NSA contractor Eric Snowden. He is now legally in Russia. and he will be able to stay there, and he will have all the comforts of any Russian citizen. He can do whatever he wants. He can travel around the country. He's hidden right now. This story's obviously been unfolding since it was first broken by The Guardian. I want you to take a look at this other clip, because this story's been unfolding all this time, and we've been hearing rhetoric coming out of the NSA. Here's an NSA official speaking in front of hackers at a hackers conference. Let's go to cut 7.
People say they're listening to all our communications. That is not authorized. We stand for freedom. Not that.
You lied to Congress. Why would we believe you're not lying to us right now?
I haven't lied to Congress. But when people check, like the Intelligence Committee, they found 0 times that's happened. And that's no bullshit.
Well, we had to bleep that out. Here's my question, all right? This whole NSA thing has been unfolding. Now, that conference that you were just listening to, that's an NSA official speaking to a bunch of hackers, all right? Here's my question. Why didn't they just surround the whole building? These hackers, they're criminals, right? The FBI should have been there. They should have escorted all these people out of there. Anyway, I saw that. I found that kind of interesting. The other thing I found interesting this week is this giant rift going on between Senator Paul and Senator Rand Paul and, of course, Chris Christie. I don't want to show you the clip because we talked about it. We talked about it earlier. There was also breaking news, and this is fortunately had a good outcome. 2 Air National Guard fighter jets clipped each other's wings in midair. One pilot was forced to eject. That worked out, and the other was able to get his aircraft back to a joint strike base. I'm a pilot. For those of you who don't know, I've been flying since I was a kid, and the skies can be a dangerous place. My dad was a flight instructor. I probably got my license when I was around the time I got my car license, and I know that. I mean, these things can go wrong up there. I had an incident with my son just a year ago. We actually lost the prop. The propeller of the airplane literally flew right off the airplane, blinded us. It covered up the windshield with oil. And fortunately, this whole system surrounded us and helped us back to the ground. We had no engine, obviously. I had no forward visibility, and I was talking to an air traffic controller, and he managed to help talk us down. And it was a frightening experience. I remember turning to my son, who looked a little frightened, and I got to tell you, I was frightened as well. I turned to my son and said, Chance, we're going to make it. And I got to tell you, at the time, I wasn't sure I believed that, but for the grace of God, somehow we got there. And frankly, I'm not quite sure how we did it. We managed to get back to the field. We were 10 miles away. We had to dump a lot of altitude to get it back on the ground. As we crossed the numbers, the threshold of the runway, I still couldn't see it. My son pulled us off to the right. He said, Dad, the runway's to the right. We managed to get it down. We went a little long, but when we came out, we found that the propeller was gone. It was a frightening experience, but somehow we made it. I know I didn't do it on my own. All right. I told you we're going to devote the whole rest of the show to sex. Coming up next, we've got Pepper Schwartz, Dr. Pepper Schwartz, sexologist. You're listening to The Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson, filling in for Steve. You know, we've talked about Obamacare and we've talked about the IRS. And here's the tragedy here is we saw earlier, you know, Lois Lerner taking the Fifth Amendment. Obamacare has enough issues going against it right now. We've had, 2-3 guests talking about it. I don't agree with one of the guests where they talked about defunding Obamacare. I don't think that's going to be something that we can accomplish it. But the biggest issue that I have really with it is the fact that it's going to be run by the IRS. And my confidence level is extremely low. How are you going to let an organization like the IRS run it? You saw the line dance videos, the Star Trek videos, and now we have the ongoing scandal. And now we actually have evidence. There's hard evidence that we're linking the IRS to the White House and a scandal in that. Out of all this, we expect them to run an organization or rather to run a new law that is just so complicated and has so many financial implications. And obviously the administration thinks it has its issues. They punted on the employer mandate. That was that's basically a convention saying we're not ready. We're just simply not ready. And the other side of that is it's also a political consideration, right? Coming up to you got the 2014 midterm elections. If you were installing the employer mandate in the 2014 elections, that's a political event, because I don't think the administration wants that imploding right when they're trying to get new senators and new congressmen elected. The other thing that I saw on this was, and I pulled this off of a YouTube clip, and this kind of really says it all right? We're all going to be stuck with this program, but a lot of federal employees are not going to have to be a part of Obamacare, nor do they want to be, all right? I'm going to bring up cut 6, and this is, I'm sorry, not cut 6. I'm going to bring up cut 5, guys. Cut 5 we're going to bring up, and it's Daniel Werfel of the IRS, and he says members of the IRS don't want Obamacare. We're going to cut 5.
Last week, your employees who are a member of the National Treasury Employees Union sent a form letter for union members to send in to ask they be exempt from the exchanges. Why are your employees trying to exempt themselves from the very law that you're tasked to enforce?
We have, right now, as employees of the government of the IRS, affordable health care coverage. And all else being equal, I think if you're an individual who's satisfied with your health care coverage, you're probably in a better position to stick with that coverage than go through the change of moving into a different environment and going through that process.
He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. A lot of people don't want it, but they're going to have to take it. And it just seems unfortunate that if the rest of America is going to have to deal with this, I don't think anybody should be exempt. Why should the IRS be exempt? Why should any federal employee be exempt? As a matter of fact, there was a news article not that long ago where congressional aides who deal with the very congressmen and senators who passed this bill, they don't want it, right? And now the administration is behind closed doors. They're trying to come up with a way to exempt these federal employees. That it's not the way it's supposed to work. It just simply is not the way it's supposed to work. Enough of Obamacare. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's talk about some more fun stuff, all right? Or stupid stuff, and this is pretty stupid right here. Seattle officials are calling for a ban on potentially offensive language. We have nothing better to do. With all that's going wrong in American cities right now, we've got Detroit collapsing. You've got $30 million left in the bank account of Chicago. You've got several cities that have already started the bankruptcy proceedings, and now there's a host of others that could happen. But Seattle has taken it upon themselves to potentially they're banning potentially offensive language. Here's some of the things they want to see banned, all right? And this was in an interview with Seattle's KIRO radio, and I believe Bronstein is a member of the government there, said the term brown bag, end quote, has been used historically as a way to judge skin color. I never heard of that. If anybody's heard of that, please call 855-777-9660. The only thing I remember with brown bag was like, I took my lunch to school in a brown paper bag. I didn't have a lunch box. I find that pretty ridiculous. All right, here's another one. Let's take a look. Dinosaurs, for example, conjures the topic of evolution, which could rile fundamentalists, and birthdays are not celebrated by Jehovah's Witnesses. Therefore, Halloween, the term Halloween should be avoided. Halloween? Come on. This is really stupid. All right, here's one more. Government workers in the city of Seattle have been advised that the terms citizen are potentially offensive and may no longer be used. I can't even believe it. I got to reread that. Government workers in the city of Seattle have been advised that the term citizen is potentially offensive and may no longer be used in official documents and discussions. Citizen. How could you even write an official document for a government and not use the term citizen. That's pretty nuts, all right? I'm not going to go. Let's move on. Ellen DeGeneres, she's going to host the Oscars. Why not? I think she's great. I like Ellen. As a matter of fact, I'm a real admirer of her. She has great shows. The last show I saw of hers really caught my eye. I actually used a segment of it here on the show. She ran a segment on Match.com, and she had a segment about Martha Stewart on Match.com. And it gave me encouragement, and actually I've been participating in Match.com as well. I've been out there dating, and I can tell you that I have found it as something as and I don't want to be pornographic about it, but it's something of a sexual smorgasbord. You sit there and you click on pictures that you like, and if you think she's cute, you send her a wink, or you text her, or you email her, and she emails back, or she comes back to you. And I've been on a few dates. One of them was horrific. I dated an ex-star, I can say. That didn't go well. Guys, I can tell you one of the very first things you need to notice is when they ask you, where do you summer? All right? That's probably a sign. This person's really into the big bucks. All right? Maybe it's time to move on. The other dates I've had have been actually pretty good. And the one thing I've learned from all this, I'm a white Anglo-Saxon male, is that I am done with white Anglo-Saxon women. All right? I've been dating foreigners from outside of this country, and it's been great. It's been great. They're just wonderful. It's a different attitude. They treat men differently. I know, girls, you're out there. Don't let your husbands hear what I'm about to say. But I got to tell you, the people out there from other countries, other cultures, it's a different mentality, and it's about taking care of your man. And as a man, I respect that. I like that. So that's where I stand with that. So Ellen DeGeneres, she's going to be hosting the Oscars. What got me into this whole thing on Match.com was in fact her interview with Martha Stewart, which I found fascinating. All right, now let me walk you through this. She's got Martha Stewart is not on her show, but she's got her profile up on the screen, and she takes you through the profile, but nowhere in the profile does it even mention the fact that she's a billionaire. So anyway, you go through the whole profile, and apparently she got 10,000 hits. Not surprising. She's Martha Stewart. She's a good-looking woman for her age, but she got 10,000 hits. And she walked you through that, and then you get to see Martha Stewart out on these dates, and she's out with these dates on these guys. And I guess I wanted to listen in. They only had some shots of her of Ellen giving Martha, some commentary on what to look for on the website. They also had the CEO of Match.com. I had some questions for him. Here's my question. One of the things I noticed about Match.com is when you try to get out of it, right? Nowhere on the site is there a button to push to say, I don't want this anymore. Number two, when you do find that button, and there is a way to do it, you got to practically be a computer programmer to do it. When you do that, all right, you're going to still be in for a while. Suddenly, you thought you were unpopular. Suddenly, you are going to get flooded with emails from some of the most beautiful women on the planet, all right? And I'm not just talking pretty. I'm talking runway models, potential stars. They're just absolutely gorgeous, but when you try to talk to them, they're not there. They're just not there. And I suspect that this is one big marketing fraud, right? They know that you're going, but you're stuck around for another week, 10 days, waiting for your credit card to run out. They know that you're going, and they're going to try to entice you back in. And you know what? It worked. I got to the end of my thing. I had 5 girls writing to me saying, Dave, I want to go out with you. And I signed up for another 30 days, paid another $30, and they kept me. And, of course, when I tried to get back in touch with any of these girls, I couldn't do it. Anyway, enough of Match.com, but we are talking about sex. Coming up next, we're going to have actress Shirley Jones. She's going to talk about her memoir, and she's coming up in the next segment. You're listening to the Steve Malzberg Show I'm David Nelson.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream. Streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson. Shirley Jones is the iconic star who played the lead roles in Hollywood musicals like Oklahoma, Carousel. And then she went on to capture the hearts and minds of really a whole nother generation as the mom in the Partridge Family. She's out with an exciting new autobiography that has everyone, and I mean everyone, talking about it. She's joining us by phone. Shirley, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
First, congratulations on the book. You know, it's a fun book, but it's also a sexy book.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know, the fact is I am a woman, and I'm almost 80, and I figured, you know, people only know me from the things I've done, and they're all sort of very pleasant and happy and wonderful, and I'm thrilled that I've had the career I've had. But when Simon & Schuster came to me and said, we'd like you to write a book about your life, I said, yeah, but everybody knows what my life is. And they said, no, they don't. Your personal life. And I thought about it, and I thought, you know, I never would have done this 10 years ago or 20 years ago. But if I'm going to do it, this is the time, you know. And so I decided I would. And, of course, most of it, you know, is about my two husbands, mostly Jack Cassidy, the father of my sons, and my relationship with him. And, you know, he was my Svengali, my, you know, knight in shining armor, all of that.
You know, you right at the top of the book, right in the introduction, you really set the stage for what the book is going to be about. I'm going to just read one quick passage. So bring out the smelling salts, hang on to your hats, and get ready for the surprise of our lives. And I got to tell you, everyone was very surprised.
I know they were.
And, you know, you had that, what has now become that very famous interview. You were on Katie Couric's show.
Yeah.
And you talk about some very personal things. I mean, did that just blurt out on the show when you said it?
No, well, she, you know, first of all, I love her, and she loves me. I've been with her, talked with her many times. And this particular show that she was doing was about, you know, sexuality in older age. And that was really what the show was about. And, you know, when she read my book, and she said, Shirley, you've got to be on my show. This is, you know, they need to talk to you. And that's really, when she said, you know, the last thing I said, you know, was masturbation. Well, the audience got up and cheered, you know, because...
Well, it was pretty, you know, it was a fantastic moment, certainly in TV journalism, because you were saying something that I think a lot of people can relate to, but you're also the mom of the Partridge Family saying that, and that's out there.
Yeah, of course. You know, and I knew that's my point, though. I mean, yes, I'm a mom. I adore my children. A lot of Partridge Family was some of the things that happened to me with my kids and all of that. But I'm also more than that, you know. Mrs. Partridge, you know, didn't have a husband. So, and I've had two, and I still have one. And,
well, you of course, you married to famous Jack Cassidy, but I have to ask you about this breaking story. I've got to take you to it. It broke literally, you know, really in the last 24 hours. Joan Collins has asked you to remove a passage from the book, or a part that she's certainly involved in. Can you walk us through that and what that's about?
Well, what's in the book is in the book, and that's all I have to say. Okay. Okay?
All right. Can you say what it is?
What I wrote is what I wrote.
All right. It's hit the papers, and it looks like that's being pulled out. All right. I won't press on that. I won't press on that.
Okay.
Talk to me about Jack Cassidy, because one passage that really caught me in here is that you refer to him as a sexual Svengali. What was that about?
Well, he was. I mean, he taught me everything about everything, including, including sex. I was a virgin when I married Jack. I was 21 years old. And, he had been married. He was married actually when I met him, had David Cassidy, the little boy. But he taught me everything about food, about books, about, I was this little girl from a small town in Pennsylvania, population 800, an only child. But I was a rebel, always a rebel, which people don't know either. I mean, I was a very rebellious kid. And so I like trying new things. And I still like trying new things. And when I met Jack, I mean, he kind of taught me how to do that in every way. Not just sex, yes, sexuality. As I said, I was a virgin when I married him. And then he taught me everything, wonderful things about, sex and all of that. But with everything else, I mean, he also taught me how to sing. He taught me, we worked together.
Is that right, Jack? Jack taught you how to sing with your beautiful voice?
I mean, I had studied singing, of course, in Pittsburgh. But when I worked with him and sang with him, he gave me some wonderful things to do with my voice. And, he loved the way I sang, and I adored the way he sang. And we would get up at parties and just sing, off the top of our heads. And that's the way it worked with him. And then we toured all over the United States with our marriage band show, with singers and dancers. But the thing that progressed with Jack was that he was bipolar.
Walk us through that. When you say he was bipolar, because you say some pretty startling revelations, things that I certainly never knew. And I was a real fan of Jack Cassidy's throughout the years.
Me too. No, but it's just started to happen with him, and it was just, I was the one that was shocked and amazed. I mean, that this began to happen. We were doing our show. Now, I knew all about Jack, by the way. People say, what about all the affairs he had, with men and women and so forth. It wasn't that I heard this from other people, or people, called me on the phone and said, you know what your husband did. He told me everything. He told me everything that he did. And he said, this is the way I am. Matter of fact, when we first got married, he said, I'm telling you right now that probably in about 9 or 10 years I'll be having affairs with other women.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I've met men across America are listening to this statement right now. I've only got a very short time, and I did want to ask you one thing because it did come out in the book. With all the leading men that you've been with, and you've been in the arms of many, all right?
Yes.
Who was the best kisser?
Burt Lancaster.
Burt Lancaster. I read that in the book, and I wanted to get it on there.
He was great. He was I adored him. When I was 16 years old, I had his pictures all over my bedroom wall.
Wow. All right, we're going to leave it right there, Shirley. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the book. The best of luck with it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was, of course, Hollywood legend Shirley Jones. I followed Shirley throughout her career, the 1950s musicals, and of course I followed the Partridge Family. I wish we could have spent more time on the Partridge Family, and I didn't even know until reading the book that she actually drove the bus. It was fascinating to hear her and watch her through the years. I did want to play you that short clip because we alluded to it in the segment. You got to listen to this. This is Katie Couric interviewing Shirley Jones. Let's go to clip 12.
Audible gasp filled the room when I mentioned that you're about to turn 80, because honestly, you do look wonderful. You really are remarkable. Thank you. And I'm not sure if everyone's prepared for this answer, but Shirley, what's your secret?
Masturbation.
Mrs. Partridge, masturbation. I know, I'm a little freaked out too. I was a little freaked out when I read this.
I was freaked out as well. It was fun interviewing her. Steve will be back on Monday. It's been a fun day. Have a great weekend. You're listening to The Steve Malzberg Show. I'm David Nelson.